Okay, we should be live right now. So we'd like to just give a good morning and a welcome to the Make More Money Mastermind for all of those who are joining us. My name is Eric Olala. I'm the founder of Eric Olala Consulting. And today I'm hosting this program with my good colleagues, Ghislaine La Rochelle. He's the founder of immofacile.ca. and Chris Dennis, the founder of the Chris Dennis Group. So we're excited to have you joining us today. As always, our hope during these sessions is to provide you with hope, inspiration, some fresh ideas, and a way to boost your attitude and your spirit so that you can go out, face the world, and succeed financially. So today is our fourth session. And for those that are just joining us, we launched the Make More Money Mastermind back in October of last year. And we will be holding these sessions on the first Thursday of every month. So our next event will be Thursday, February 2, 2023. So we have some exciting programs. We're going to be inviting different people on to talk about entrepreneurship, businesses. We're going to have coaches, investors, sharing ideas on ways that you can kind of navigate through the economy that we are entering into. Today, we have the program designed to help you with your finances for 2023. And in particular, we're going to be discussing Grant Cardone's formula for wealth. And he claims to have studied this over 35 years of working and studying extremely successful people. One of his favorite individuals is Warren Buffett. And so he has incorporated a lot of a wealth of information on the formula for success that we're going to be talking about today. It's a 9-step cycle, and it's a total of 9 steps in the one big cycle, but it's really 2.5 smaller cycles in this one big cycle. And we're going to go into each of those steps today. The very first step that I'd like you to just get your mind around, and by the way, we have sent out to all of you a workbook. So just check your email right now. You might want to check your junk folder to see if you've gotten the workbook. So you can refer to that back and forth throughout today. But just in summary form, the steps are very simple. The first one is create income. And Ghislaine and Chris and I will chat about these as we go through these, but I just want to give you a quick overview of what we're talking about today. So step number 1 is create income. Step number 2 is to increase that income. Step number 3 is save it all. Step number 4 is to invest it. Step number 5 is to create multiple flows of income. Step number 6 is basically now repeating this. So now you increase these multiple flows. Step 7 is you save it. Step 8 is you invest it. And then step 9 is you create more multiple flows of income. And it just keeps repeating. So basically, we will start going into each one of these steps today. I've invited Ghislaine and Chris to kind of help kick us off on the start of this conversation. So Ghislaine and Chris, as we talk about these steps, and listeners today that are wanting to know, how do I deal with my finances in 2023? Why don't we take the first 4 steps and let's just talk about those? Create income, increase income, save, and invest. Let's talk about what are each one of these steps, how do you apply it, and what is the importance? It sounds a bit simplistic, but why is this so crucial for us today?
Well, I think you can't save to invest anything. Sorry, it's very echoing here. Unless you have an income flow, you have to have cash flow coming in, whether that's from a job, from a business. For myself, I'm in commission sales. I'm a realtor. So that's where my primary income comes from, is the real estate business. And then when you look at increasing that flow, then there's things you can do, whether it's getting better at what you do. That's a huge one, right? Increase your percentages, increase your closing skills, and do more business just that way. Same amount of leads, but better closing ratios. Then increase your leads, and then you can scale your business from there. But I think number one, you can't save to invest if you don't have any money coming in, because you can't get rich off of recycling pop cans. So I think that's number one. Ghislaine, what do you think?
Yep. Step one is create income. I remember in 2007, I had a job from 9 to 5. I should say 7 to 7, but let's say 9 to 5. And I was getting only one area where my income would come from. So I decided to invest in real estate. I decided to buy a 6-plex building. And this is how I was able to create income. I had my job, I had stocks, and I had also real estate investment. So the step number 2 is to increase your income. Okay, what you have to do now is to focus on what you presently have and try to increase it. In real estate, I will talk a lot about real estate because that's my business. That's what I do every day. And let's say there's 2 ways to do it. You go to your boss and you say, I want a raise of 5%, 10% this year. The answer will probably be no. Okay. The second way for me was to increase the rent of my 6-plex and also buy another 6-plex. Okay, so that's how I was able to increase my income. For me, it's to buy new buildings. The step 3 Eric was talking about was to save it all. What does it mean, save it all? It means if you go from 60,000 to 80,000, the 20,000 you get there, you save it. And the step 4 is you invest it. So I remember one mortgage broker told me one day in my city, you know, the big house that are over there in this area, did you know that these guys, they don't have any money in their pocket? So they're making more money, but what they do, they buy boats, they buy ski-doos, they will buy a nice car, a big house, and finally, they don't have any money left to invest in something else, okay? So step 3.
I just want to cut in there, Ghislaine, on these 4 steps. On step number 1, how important it is. There's a lot of individuals out there that have books and entire financial series, and the sole thing that they talk about is how to budget your money and save. And very few people talk about creating income, like going out and creating adequate income. And what I like about Grant Cardone's formula is he puts it into perspective. If you're cutting costs, you only have a limited amount that you could ever work with. It is a finite amount. So, I mean, how much can you cut costs? You can only cut costs down to 0, right? And then that's it. I mean, but with income, if you focus on creating income and more income, there's an infinite level. There is no cap, say, other than your ability to generate that income. So number 1, creating the income is so important. And in my experience, when I looked at this formula and I looked at my situation, I realized that where I was at, the job that I was at, it wouldn't allow me to create additional income. There were restrictions put on my job that I could not make additional income without doing a bunch of crazy things. So you need to get into that situation where you can create income. It is an important step, and it is the foundation that kind of gets us into all these other steps that we're talking about.
One thing Grant Cardone is saying is you work on decrease your costs by 5% of your time, and 95% of your time is to increase your income. Only 5% of your time is to decrease the cost of life, your life.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that concept, because what it helped me to realize was that I really had no idea how to go out and create income. My fundamental problem throughout life, up until I started learning these materials, was how do you go out and create additional income and enough of it? I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. How do you create enough money to be able to save and then invest?
And I think that takes us right to point two, right? Increasing your income. So first you've got your job, you've got your first income stream, and then how do you increase that? And Grant talks about symbiotic, right? Keep that within 3 feet, control the area around you. So what are you doing right now? And in that position, in that income, how do you increase it without, again, I'm in sales, I'm in real estate. So I don't do real estate and then go 10 bar. I do real estate, and then within real estate, I find ways to increase my income and create other flows of income. So with the sales, first I'm selling, then I leverage through people. I get an assistant. Now I could do more. Then I build a team, a couple of realtors on the team. Now there's more income. So there's ways that you can, within what you're doing, you can increase your income to allow you to save more for your investment. So, are you a hairdresser? Can you sell products? Can you do additional services? There's just ways without having to get a second job or a second totally separate stream, because there's also time that is the time value, right? So I can sell real estate and do other real estate related income streams all at the same time, or relatively the same time, versus spend 8 hours here and 4 hours there and a couple hours there. So I think keeping it close and connected to begin with, at least, is really important.
I also want to kind of just chime in on this, the third step, save it all. There is a formula for math that you need to aim for. And I don't know if any of you have ever read the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. It has an awesome formula, and Grant actually has modified this formula in a kind of a new way. In The Richest Man in Babylon, it talks about basically the 70-30 principle. You live off of 70% of your income, and you're saving, investing, and giving the other 30%. Grant takes that to 60-40. He says, start with living off of 60% of your income, 40% save it, invest it, and give. And what you do is you start working toward increasing the investing side and decreasing the living expense side. So I kind of put it down in my formula here for, you start with the 60-40 as your target, live off of 60% of your income, save and invest 40% and give it, and work toward the 10-90. So get to the point in your life where you are able to live off of 10% of your income. You're able to save and invest and give 90%. And then the ultimate, in my view, would be the 199, where you can live off of 1% or less of your income, less would be even greater. 1% or less of your income is your living expenses, and 99% you're investing it, you're giving it, you're creating wealth and creating opportunity with that. So start with the 60-40, work to the 10-90, and the ultimate, for me at least, is the 1 and 99. So let's talk about the investing step, Ghislaine and Chris.
Mhm.
When should a person invest?
There's two answers to that. Well, the first answer is the banker answer. He will say, when you have money, you invest. Or the other way to answer this is to invest what you have gathered, your saved money, or you go with partnership and you invest in a bigger way. You buy a bigger building because you're with 2 or 3 people together. That's how I see it. And what about yourself, Chris?
Well, I think one of the things that holds people back is wanting to invest too early. So let's say they've put $1,000 aside and they want to invest it, but the return on investment is too low, so they don't do it. You know, if I put this $5,000 into this property, I'm only getting it, $50 a month back. What's the point? And so it never builds, it never progresses. So they just don't jump into whether it's real estate or whatever they want to do. So I think it's important, like Grant says, is to not to invest too early, but sock it away, keep it safe. Don't diversify is his advice, and I'm kind of in that same school of thought, right? Is it Warren Buffett that said, "Put all your eggs in one basket, watch the basket"?
Mm.
So I think that's important. And when you've got the money you want, I think maybe it starts with a goal. What is your investment goal? What's your target for your first project versus, I'm just putting money away for the right investment. Determine what the right investment is and what your goal with that. And I think that's how you stay committed and put that money away.
So what would you say to the guys that you read about in the news? Like they took, I was reading one day about a guy that he took he had a life savings of $2 million and he put it all into Bitcoin and lost it. Or no, it wasn't even Bitcoin. The most recent one was FTX. He put all of it into FTX, which is I'm sure you've heard it in the news.
Yeah,
it's gone.
You never invest all your money in only one thing. You have to diversify. And even in real estate, I always say, you start with a small building, and after that, you buy another one, you buy another one, you buy another one, and you keep moving. And I can tell you, sometimes it doesn't go very well. So at least you have some buildings that are going very well. So diversified, but in the same area. That's what I say.
For me, I like to touch it. I like to be able to drive to it, touch it, see it.
Good point. Yes.
Real estate doesn't go to zero.
Yeah.
Somebody can't throw a tweet out there and drop it by 60% overnight. So, and there's a lot of people that made a lot of money in crypto, and I'm certainly no expert and not a financial advisor by any means. But yeah, I like to be able to touch it, feel it, smell it, see it. With real estate, you can sell it, you can leverage it, you can insure it. So for me, that's smart money.
Good point.
All right, let's move on to the next set of steps, which is kind of like repeating the cycle. So now step 5 is, now we're like back at step 1 essentially, but it's now creating multiple flows. So in step 1, you created your first flow essentially, and you increased it, you secured that, you fortified it. Now here at step 5, we're entering the step where we're creating multiple flows. Now, how big does a flow have to be considered a flow?
It could be a trickle, pennies add up, right?
It could be not a lot of money. I have written 10 books up to now, and I can tell you we don't make a lot of money on a book. Just to let you know, a book that is selling for $20, I will make probably $1.50 on that. So $1.50, $1.50, $1.50, that's a flow of income for me. But it's added to the other $1.50 that I have somewhere else.
And that's
I think one of the challenges of people building additional income flows is they're always looking for the grand slam, right?
Yes.
They're, if I could do this, then I could just quit this job. But that's not the objective. The objective is to create additional flows of income. So if you want to make $1 million online, start with making $100 and go from there. But don't look for the big windfalls. I think that's key.
Yeah, I think the important, and one of the things that was kind of a shift for thinking for me is that you count every flow as a flow. Like, even if it's just a few cents, like if you have money in a savings account and they're paying you the 0.00001%, you look at the end of the year and it's like 1 cent. That's still a flow of income. It's minuscule, but it put money in your pocket that you didn't have before. So you look at every single flow that you have. Now, ultimately, you want to step 6 is increase those flows. And ideally, you want to look for those flows that are actually producing you something. So I wouldn't advise the savings account route, but you have to look at all of
I just want to talk to you about the flows of income.
Yeah.
I have my son who about just before Christmas, he came to see me. He said, "Dad, we don't get a lot of money from the saving account. It's a few dollars every month I get. Is there a better way to take my money and invest it somewhere else?" I said, "Sure." So what I did with him, I did a private loan to somebody else. And instead of getting 0.0001% of his money, he was getting 10% of his money annually divided by 12. So he's very happy, and now he starts to understand how money is working for him. About 2 weeks, 2 weeks after he received his first payment, he asked me, "Dad, is there a way to make even more money than that with he had the 20,000. I said, "Yes, but you have to take money from your friend and go with them into an investment, and that's the way to do it." So even at the age of 21, he's able to understand money, how it's working. So it's very important to talk to your kid about money.
Yeah, I agree, most definitely. And we've started with my daughter. She's 4 years old. And this is another thing that I've recently come to realize, that, you go to Walmart and you buy these gifts, or it doesn't even have to be Walmart. It could be any type of store that has little toys for kids. And I was walking in Walmart the other day, and I was looking at the aisles and aisles and aisles of plastic toys, and I was looking at the prices, $10, $15, $20, $45, $50, $80 for a toy that's plastic. And I realized, I can go down the street to the gold and silver place, and I can buy the gold and silver coins I can buy
Okay.
a solid silver coin that holds its value. And my little daughter loves to play with silver coins. And so I realized, why would you buy toys that are worthless? It don't you buy toys and stuff that they play with that actually hold their value? And if you ever had to, you could sell it and get some money back. So I've made a kind of a commitment in my own life that I'm going to start looking at everything in my life as an investment. Like even buying toys for my kid is an investment, that I'm looking for quality stuff that either retains or appreciates in value or produces a profit and income. All right, so
Cool.
number 7, save it. So let's talk about 7, 8, and then we'll save 9 last, because that's kind of the big one. So save it and then invest it. So we're back here now. You have multiple flows of income. You're saving this massive amount. Like, how many flows of income are we talking about here at this stage, would you say?
I think that's kind of an individual thing, but
Yes.
what's Grant say? Like the average millionaire has 7 flows.
Yes,
Something like
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
He also says that was back then. Like today, if you want to be wealthy, you need to have hundreds, if not thousands, of flows of income. When you start getting to step 6, 7, 8, and 9, you at least need to be up to 40 flows.
40.
Yeah.
I have probably around 15 from on my side. Different.
And you're doing extremely well, it seems like, Ghislaine.
But some are very small, like I told you. So I get I write in a newspaper, a national newspaper in Quebec, and I get a few dollars every month, every week for that. I have a book written. I have a commercial investment. I have land development, multi-unit residential. So, and I have the company I'm in now, Imofacil. So I have a lot of it, but I don't have a big one that is the main one.
So I think here at step 7, this is a stage where we've got lots of flows of income, but we haven't increased the standard of living based on that, right?
Right.
So this is the opportunity to really start hammering money away for the big play, for the big investment. And I think that's the trick, is the commitment and the vision of what you're trying to build, because it's really easy once you have 10, 20, 30, $100,000 put away, and all of a sudden the family says, you know what, we really deserve a new house, or we deserve a new car, or we deserve a holiday, and then that money gets eroded. So I think you need that vision, that commitment that this is what I'm building. And because it's hard once that income starts to increase, not to increase your standard of living and start to spend more.
Good point. Very good point.
Yeah.
You know, Charlie Munger, he's the partner of Warren Buffett. He's 99 years old. And just this last week, I don't know when he made this this recording, but I just saw it last week. And he was saying that, he said, a lot of people say that this world is driven by greed. He said, that's not true. He said, this world is driven by envy. And in my own personal journey, I discovered that envy was actually one of the major problems holding me back from getting ahead in life. And envy is kind of at the root of trying to keep up with the Joneses, you know.
Comparing, right?
always wanting that better house, always wanting the better car, always wanting that better toy or that vacation, or always wanting to do what your friend or your neighbor or somebody that you're associated with is doing. And what I learned through the journey that I'm on is I had to come to a point where I had to silence that. Like I had to silence, like I had to ask myself, what would it take to get me to the point where I just stopped looking at other people and I would be content in a place so that I could focus on creating income, creating working on my goals and dreams and personal development and the mission and purpose that I have in life, and be able to kind of grow there without always feeling like I just need something more. And I finally came to realize, actually fairly recently, it's been within the last 3 years, we found a place to live that if you would have asked me probably 5 or 6 years ago, I would have never been happy with this place. But because my focus has shifted and because I want to grow substantially personally, and I also want to be able to provide and generate for other people, I came to this realization that no, I need to be content with a standard of living that doesn't have to just keep increasing every time I make more money. And so I would just mention that to those that might be listening, that, if you happen to be like me in terms of struggling with envy, that is something that you really need to ask yourself, like, what would it take to get you to stop envying others and always wanting more that costs more? And what would it take to get you to a place where you can focus on kind of growing that nest egg, not increasing your cost of living, and then being able to pour it into those important things that can produce wealth?
That's a good point.
Mm.
And my industry is filled with that. I saw a funny meme actually where it was a doctor holding a wad of cash saying, I just performed whatever surgery and look how much money I made. I'm going on a holiday. And in the caption was, if doctors marketed like realtors. And it's so true. Like every day I see these posts of someone in front of their car and thanking everybody for the business. Meanwhile, from my position, I know what's going on behind the scenes, and that they're struggling to make payments or whatever. So it's funny. It's so much envy and vanity out there, and you do get caught up in it. I've got caught up in it. If my business partner bought a new car, I was out shopping for a new car. If business partner got a new house, I'm in the market, and in that keeping up with people and the envy, like you say, Eric, that'll keep you broke and drive you crazy. So I think set your goals, commit to them, and get comfortable with who you are and where you are and what you're trying to build for your family and your legacy in the future.
All right, so step 8 and step 9, invest it. Now, this step 8 is a little bit different because the level here of investing is substantial. Like you have multiple flows, they've all been fortified. And I don't think we mentioned, but these multiple flows should ideally be symbiotic, meaning that they complement one another. So, if like with Ghislaine, like he has books, but they're related to real estate, and he has his business, which is real estate, and then he has his investments, which are real estate, and then he, collaborates with people that are in real estate. For me, I've had to go back to one. Like I had multiple flows, and because I had built the foundation incorrectly, I had to go back to one. And so where I'm at is building one, and now I have, a business, and it's creating multiple flows of income within that business that are symbiotic, and then trying to build enough of them fast enough so that you can survive, type of a thing. That's kind of where I'm at in my journey. And you may be at different stages in your life as well, but the main point is, wherever you are at in your journey, make sure that you're keeping these steps in their proper order and in the step. And this step number 8, investing, is you should have, he talks about here that you should have about $1 million to invest at this step. And he says, if you have 250,000, he's like, don't even invest it yet. Like he said, on this step 8, investing it, he said, wait until you have $1 million and then you make a big play, because this is where the huge returns, where you start making significant return and impact on it. I don't know, you guys want to speak about that?
Well
I
said.
think what's important to differentiate here is you're saving $1 million for investment versus you're saving $1 million for retirement.
Yes.
Right? And really, I'm talking out of my backside, because I haven't saved $1 million, but when I look at it and plan for that, I don't want to save $1 million and then draw down on that in my retirement, because that's diminishing, right? That $1 million is getting smaller every month and you're getting taxed on it. And I hear my father-in-law talk about that, had he done things, or if he could do things differently, he would. So I think it's important to, for me anyways, my focus is investing on cash flow. So if I've got $1 million finally saved up, I can invest that, get a 6% annual return on investment. That's $5,000 a month, every month coming in without me doing anything. And that $1 million is still there. And hopefully over the course of 5-10 years, it's increasing, appreciating, and doubling in value over 10 years. So I think that's the big differentiator. Once you've got that $1 million in the bank account, what you're going to do with it, I think that's something to focus on.
He talks about 3 types of investments to look for, and these are very simplified terms. And by the way, I should give a disclaimer here. We are not financial what is it? We are not financial advisors. We are businessmen, and we are also investors. And so these things that we're talking to you and sharing with you about they're just that. They're information for you to consider. They are taken from a person like Grant Cardone, who is now a billionaire, and they have been applied by people at all walks of life. And us 3 are at different stages trying to apply these principles in our lives. So just wanted to enter that. But 3 types of investment. He talks about the big bang, the dividend, or both. So those are 3 times. So a big bang would be what? What would be a big bang investment?
You invest in a flip, you buy, you do some renovation, and you sell it, and you make 100% on your money. So you invest 100,000 and you get 100,000 back from there. So in real estate, that's a big bang.
Okay. And then what about a dividend? What would be a dividend type of investment?
And your dividend is your cash flow. So you buy multifamily property or invest in a syndicated real estate program, and you get a return on your investment every month. So that's your dividend. I think the big bang is is speculation, right? That's a great thing to happen, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So I think if you're investing in real estate, invest for the dividend, invest for the cash flow, and over time you'll get the big bang.
And then what about both? Is it possible to get both in one?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do both, right? Invest for the cash flow, hopefully eventually get the big bang. But what I'm seeing now in this market, we've got a changing market right now. So we've got a lot of people who have invested for the big bang, and now possession is coming up, closing day is coming up, and they were hoping to make a quick turnaround, basically sell the paper, sell the contract, and now they can't.
Yeah.
So that's back to your point, Eric, the envy, right? Well, people are making money. Let's do this. But they're not investing. I don't know. To me, when you're investing for the big bang, you're a speculator, you're a gambler, you're not an investor.
Mm.
Personally, I believe invest for the cash flow, invest for the dividend, and the big bang will come, but not necessarily tomorrow.
Good point.
One of the things that I appreciate about Grant Cardone's teachings and lessons on the investing part is he is very conservative in investing. Like, he does not like to lose money at all. And that's Warren Buffett either. Like, Warren Buffett, he says the number one rule of investing is never lose money. The second rule is remember rule number one. And the third one is the same. Remember the first two, type of a thing. And going through into investments, and maybe Ghislaine could speak to this because you've done a lot of real estate investing. Is there a place that you can get to in your life where it is possible? I mean, I don't think it's possible to remove 100% of risk. There's always going to be something catastrophic that could happen to any of us. Like we could die today, for example. That could change everything. But is there a place that you can get with investing, with your knowledge, your skill, your connections, your ability to analyze deals? Is there a way that you can get to a place where you can nearly eliminate the risk, in the sense that when you go into it, it is next to a sure thing?
There is always risk in real estate. Commercial presently is very risky. I don't know if you agree with me, Chris, but in Quebec is very risky.
Yeah.
And what I see presently is multi-unit residential buildings. Is the safest one. We're lacking units. We in Quebec, we have to build around 600,000 units just with the people that are coming from the other countries to put there somewhere. So multi-unit is the safest one that I think. What about Chris? What is your opinion out in Alberta?
Yeah, I'm with you, Ghislaine. I think we've got this changing landscapes with commercial space, and we've got a lot of vacancy here in Alberta, especially in Calgary and our market, right? So that cash flow from the multifamily residential, that's your insurance. It doesn't matter what the market is doing, as long as you've got that cash flow coming in. So I think that's exactly how you mitigate risk: is invest for the cash flow and let the market take you up over time, but don't jump in as a speculator and hope to just make a quick buck.
Yeah,
because that's where you get burned.
I agree with you.
All right, so step number 9 is the big daddy, and I think this is kind of where he hints that this is where you start going beyond 40 flows. Like, you've got 40 flows, step 9. This is where you start going toward 100, 200, maybe even 1,000 flows of income. And when you get to this level, this is where the super wealthy reside. You're making hundreds and hundreds, if not billions and billions of dollars. And as we're seeing now, some are making hundreds of billions of dollars. So this is a step that he says here, the key takeaway is to consider whether you want to strive for this level of wealth. I don't know that everybody would want to go for this level of wealth. I would like to go for this level of wealth. What about you guys?
Sure, but that's a big challenge.
I think so. And I think it's something that is, for me, when I look at step 9, going for that, like we're talking huge wealth here. That last generations type of wealth. That really is a decision that individuals have to make. I mean, each one of these steps is a decision, right? You have to make a commitment and a decision to focus on generating more income in your life. If you are unwilling, don't want to do that, then, well, probably you wouldn't even be listening to this mastermind group. But anyways, it is a decision that you have to make. And so for step number 9, for those that want to go to this level, this is a decision. It's a commitment that you have to make. Do you want to be super wealthy? And if so, you have to go for much more than 40 flows of income. Would you guys want to add anything to that step?
Well, I would have to, let's say 100 flows of income. That doesn't mean you have to have 100 separate different things.
Yeah.
Correct. That could be, you've got 50 doors and then they all pay to use the laundry machines. And then you've got a landscape company that maintains those 50 doors and also does other things, right? So again, they could be symbiotic, because you're talking about 40 or 50 or 100 flows of income. That sounds overwhelming, but it doesn't really have to be.
Yeah, and if you put it that way, I'm thinking of Ghislaine. He's up there already. What you've got, you've got over what 400 going on to 600 properties in development or doors.
Units, doors, yes.
Yeah. So you've got, each one of those is a flow of income.
Exactly, yes.
So realistically speaking, I mean, yeah, you really, like we said earlier, you have to look at every flow of income that you have, and these all have to be counted. So I appreciate that perspective, Chris.
Yeah, you bet.
All right, it looks like we're close to our closing time. Everybody should have received the workbook in your emails, so you should have, these notes. I would encourage you to go through and read it, because, Grant in that workbook explains things that we probably didn't cover in quite the same way that he does. And so I would encourage you to go back and read through that. And the other thing that we would like to announce is that we are going to be doing a 10X business boot camp, or it's a business boot camp that we're going to be trying to do in Calgary. And right now we're tossing around some dates probably in the late spring or early summer, and then maybe the fall we're kind of tossing around. So we haven't confirmed the dates, but I would like to put out there, if any of you would be interested in that, let us know. If you're on the Facebook Live, you can put it in the chat below. If you are on Zoom, you can also put it in the chat. You can also respond to the email that we sent for those that registered for this meeting. For the workbook, just simply reply, and you can say, yes, I'd be interested in the boot camp. And we're going to start building a list, and we'll start communicating about that once we get the dates kind of finalized. I don't know, Ghislaine or Chris, if you'd like to share a little bit about that, what what a boot camp is and what they could expect to such a thing?
Well, I don't know. It's I've been to a lot of them, but yeah, it's Grant's principles on marketing, sales, business scaling. So it's a couple days of really intense, actionable content. We just started talking about this the other day, so we're still very early stages of putting it together. But yeah, we're looking at a spring date in Calgary, and then perhaps another one in the fall. So yeah, we're still putting it together. But raise your hand if you're looking for more information. We can hook you up.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again. And our next one is going to be February 2. It's Thursday, February 2. Same time. We do send out the different links, so you have to register for each one. And you can watch on our emails. You can also watch on our social media, and we will be able to get the registration links to you. Thank you so much, Ghislaine, Chris. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.